Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to be tackling resilience,
Oh, good one.
but like resilience with an edge.
Yeah,
We're talking about the kind of resilience that lets people not just survive, but thrive under crazy pressure.
I like where this is going.
And who better to learn from than, well, the best of the best? We've got insights from Simone Biles and Tom Brady today.
Talk about two people who know a thing or two about resilience.
Right. Both of them have achieved some insane things in their careers, but they've also had their share of setbacks. So this isn't just for sports fans. This is about figuring out the strategies they've used and how we can apply that stuff to our own lives, no matter what field you're in.
Totally. Because, we tend to look at these superstar athletes and we think they're superhuman, but their stories are actually full of lessons we can all relate to when it comes to, like, building that resilience muscle.
Okay, so let's start with Simone Biles. Obviously, she's the most decorated gymnast in history.
Yeah.
But it was actually her decision to prioritize her mental health at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021 that really changed the conversation about resilience.
It totally did, because it challenged that old school idea that resilience is all about pushing through no matter what, like no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
But what's so powerful about Simone Biles is that she shows us resilience can also be knowing when you need to step back for your own well-being, even when, the whole world is watching.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually said, resilience meant listening to my body and mind even when the world expected me to push through. And she chose to withdraw from some events to protect her mental health.
And that was huge. It was such a bold move.
Absolutely. And it sparked a lot of, some people were super supportive, but there was definitely some controversy too,
Oh, for sure.
Which I think kind of brings up this question. Are we really creating environments where it's okay to be vulnerable and prioritize mental health, whether it's in sports or like workplaces, schools, our own families even?
It's the question, isn't it? And, Simone Biles talked about how important her support system was during that whole thing. Like her inner circle, the people who really got it,
Right.
they understood and they put her well-being first. But she didn't just stop there. She used her platform to, call for bigger changes, right?
Yeah.
She was advocating for mental health to be taken as seriously as physical training at every level of sports.
Can you imagine if coaches were trained to prioritize mental health, just like they, focus on strength training or nutrition? That would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
It really highlights how important institutions are in building that culture of resilience.
100%. And before we move on from Simone Biles, I think it's so important to remember what she said. It's okay to take a step back and regroup. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about knowing when to rest and when to push forward.
Such wise words.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears now to Tom Brady. This guy just seems to defy age.
Like, he rewrote the rules of what's possible in pro sports.
Totally. And he's like the definition of physical resilience.
Yeah.
Playing at such a high level into his 40s,
Unbelievable.
adapting to new teams, new challenges, and coming back from injuries that would have, ended most players' careers.
Seriously.
Yeah.
When you look at Brady's career, you realize resilience isn't just about being physically strong. It's like a mindset.
Yeah.
He's always talking about the importance of consistent improvement, showing up every single day and seeing every failure as an opportunity to learn.
He actually defines resilience as consistency, adaptability, showing up daily, always improving, learning from every failure. And it's true, when you hear him talk about his approach, you realize it's just as much about mental toughness as it is about physical training.
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting, though, to think about what consistent improvement actually looked like for someone like Brady. Yeah, we know he's super disciplined about training, diet, recovery. But there's this whole mental side, too. It's like he's always pushing himself to get better, even when he's already at the top of his game. He talked about visualization techniques, mindfulness practices.
Like a lot of athletes do.
Right. Like his mental game is just as important as his physical conditioning.
It's true. So many athletes talk about visualizing themselves succeeding, going through the motions in their mind, and using that mental rehearsal to, build confidence and focus.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, how does that mental resilience play into Brady's insane physical longevity? We know he's had to deal with injuries throughout his career.
Right. That's a great question. And you know what? Brady's whole approach to injury recovery actually highlights how connected those two things are, the mental and physical aspects of resilience.
Okay, so how so?
Well, He talks about focusing on small victories during rehab, like celebrating those little milestones, right?
Hmm.
And having a strong support system to keep his spirits up. But he also credits those routines like mindfulness, sleep, nutrition as being crucial for his recovery.
Hmm. It's kind of wild how those routines, the stuff we usually just think of as like good habits, actually play a huge role in being more resilient.
It is. It's like building a solid foundation,
Right.
right? You have those healthy habits in place, and you're just so much better equipped to deal with the stress, the setbacks, all that stuff that life throws at you, whether you're on the field or, off the field.
Makes you think, how can we, normal people, sneak some of those recovery routines into our own lives? We're not all Tom Brady,
Right.
but we all need to be resilient.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be like as intense as Brady's whole thing. It could be as simple as making sure you're getting enough sleep, finding healthy ways to manage stress,
Yeah.
like maybe yoga, meditation, or even just paying more attention to what you're eating.
So it's all about finding what works for you and making it a habit.
Exactly.
Speaking of habits, Brady's also known for being incredibly disciplined. And he actually credits that as a key part of his resilience.
And it's not just about willpower. When Brady talks about discipline, he's talking about having a clear vision for what he wants to achieve and the self-control to stay focused on those goals, even when things get tough, when there are distractions.
Like he famously said, discipline is everything. It's the foundation of resilience because it keeps you focused, even on the tough days. But sometimes discipline gets a bad rap, right? Like people think it's all about being restrictive and no fun,
Yeah, it definitely can.
like punishing yourself.
But it's really not about being rigid or denying yourself pleasure. It's more about knowing what your priorities are
Yeah.
and then making choices that actually align with those goals. Like, think of it this way. Discipline actually gives you the freedom to achieve what you truly want, in the long run.
It's like that saying, short-term pleasure, long-term pain versus short-term pain, long-term pleasure.
Exactly.
Discipline helps you make those choices that lead to the good stuff, the long-term satisfaction.
Exactly. And it's not just about the big, huge goals either. Discipline shows up in those smaller things too, like showing up for your workout even when you really don't wanna, or sticking to your budget when you see something tempting you want to buy. It's those little acts of discipline, they build momentum, and ultimately they contribute to that overall resilience.
Makes you think, what does discipline look like in your life?
Hmm.
What are those areas where you could maybe be a little more disciplined, and how would that change how you deal with challenges?
It's a good question to ask yourself. And while discipline is often seen as an individual thing, like something you got to do on your own,
Hmm.
both Biles and Brady really emphasize having a strong support system too.
Right. Let's circle back to Simone Biles for a sec. We were talking about how she leaned on her inner circle during the Olympics,
Hmm.
but she also talked about wanting a bigger change, right? Like a more systematic approach to mental health in sports,
Hmm.
where athletes feel supported and coaches are trained to actually help them with that stuff.
And that's a huge piece of resilience, right?
Yeah.
Knowing you have people you can turn to when things are rough.
For sure. Family, friends, mentors, a therapist.
Yeah.
It's all about building that network, that safety net, knowing you don't have to go through tough times alone.
You've got people to offer encouragement, guidance, just a listening ear.
And it's not just about getting support when things are bad.
Mm.
It's also about celebrating the wins, sharing your goals, being around people who inspire you to be your best.
Totally.
It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are the people around you lifting you up? Are they supporting your growth?
Oh, that's a good one to think about. Okay, and going back to Brady for a minute, he always talks about staying curious, being open to learning and growing. Like he didn't let all that success make him complacent.
Right.
He was always looking for new challenges, new ways to get better, even when he was already at the top.
And that's something we can all learn from.
Mm.
Embracing that idea of lifelong learning. Doesn't matter if it's taking classes, reading books, or even just talking to people who have different views than you.
Yeah.
The world is constantly changing. So if we
Right.
want to stay resilient, we got to be adaptable, open to new ideas. We can't be afraid to step outside that comfort zone.
It's about cultivating that growth mindset where you see challenges as opportunities to learn, not like threats to your ego.
I love that.
And it works in every area of life, your career, relationships, personal growth.
And Brady also talks about the importance of having clear goals.
Yeah.
He said, if you don't know where you are going, you will probably end up someplace else.
So true. Having those goals, the short-term ones and the long-term ones, it gives you that direction and it keeps you motivated, especially when things get hard.
It's like a compass.
Yeah. It helps you stay on course, even when you hit those obstacles,
So we've talked about discipline, routines, support systems, growth mindset, goals, all these key ingredients for resilience. But there's one more thing I want to explore,
Yeah.
and it's that ability to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Like to have that unshakable confidence that you can handle whatever comes your way.
You're talking about that self-belief,
Yeah.
that deep down conviction that you have the strength, the resources, to overcome those challenges.
Exactly. And it's funny because both Biles and Brady, they really embody that.
In their own way, yeah.
Like for Biles, it was that confidence to put her mental health first, even though it meant stepping away from like the biggest competition of her life.
Right. And for Brady, it was that unwavering belief in himself.
Yeah.
That he could keep playing at that elite level, even when people were like, nah, he's too old.
Totally.
He was almost defiant, like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
And you see that in so many successful people.
Don't you?
That belief in themselves, even when they're facing setbacks or criticism.
It's not arrogance, though.
No, it's not.
It's like this inner knowing.
Yeah, like they just know they can do it.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally. If you believe you can, you're more likely to put in the work.
Right.
You're going to push through those tough
You're
times.
going to achieve those goals.
And that's what I want to bring back to our listeners.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be more resilient, it's not just about the habits or the strategies.
No.
It's also about cultivating that inner belief.
That voice that says, I got this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that voice is kind of quiet, It's easy to doubt yourself, especially when things get hard.
Oh, for sure. And that's where all the other stuff comes in.
Yeah.
The discipline, the support system, that growth mindset we talked about.
It all works together.
It all helps you reinforce that belief in yourself, even when it's being tested.
It's like a cycle.
It is.
Your actions, they feed your beliefs.
Right.
And your beliefs, they fuel your actions.
Exactly. And the more you practice that resilience, the stronger that self-belief gets.
And it's amazing to see, not just in athletes like Simone Biles and Tom Brady, but in everyday people who were facing their own challenges.
It's a reminder that resilience isn't some, fixed trait you're born with.
It's something you can build.
It's a process we can all work on.
Love that. So we've covered a lot today.
You have.
From Simone Biles choosing to prioritize her mental well-being,
to Tom Brady's incredible drive and longevity.
We've talked about discipline, routines, support systems, growth mindset, self-belief.
All those amazing ingredients.
I hope this deep dive has given you some ideas, some inspiration.
To take those lessons and apply them to your own life.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. We talked a lot about having that strong support system, but I'm curious, how are you being a source of support for others?
Yeah.
How are you showing up for the people in your life?
Helping them build their resilience.
It's a powerful thing to think about because resilience isn't just about individual strength.
It's about coming together as a community.
Supporting each other when times get tough.
So go out there, be a force for good.
Yeah.
Build your own resilience and help the people around you build theirs.